Most churches ignore a specific verse in the Bible. It feels too risky, too commercial for a Sunday sermon. But this single sentence holds the metaphysical code that mirrors the exact strategy Andrew Carnegie used to build an empire of steel. You know the feeling of working yourself into the ground and seeing nothing grow. You pay the bills, you pray for a breakthrough, but the bank account stays flat. The fear of the future wakes you up at 3 in the morning. You wonder if you will ever stop trading your time for money. You're not lazy. You're just operating without the map. Napoleon Hill, the man who cracked the code of wealth, taught us that desire alone is useless without a plan. There is an ancient blueprint for risk and reward that King Solomon wrote down thousands of years ago. It is not about blind hope. It is the mechanics of how money moves. Today, we unlock the forbidden verse of wealth. We are going to look at the law of diversification and the power of compounding value. If you get this, you stop chasing dollars and you start attracting abundance. Here is the brutal truth that keeps good people broke. You have been told that faith is a financial plan. You think if you are a good person, if you tithe, if you wish hard enough, the money will just appear. That is not how this physical reality works. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years studying the richest men in the world, and he found that while faith is the fuel, it is not the engine. You cannot drive from poverty to prosperity on a vehicle made of wishes. The missing piece is in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verses 1 and 2. The text says simply, "Cast thy bread upon the waters, for thou shalt find it after many days." For centuries, preachers said this was just about charity. They said, give your money away and God will bless you. That is true, but it is incomplete. Metaphysically, this is about investment. Bread represents your survival. It is your savings. It is your hard-earned cash. To throw it on the water looks like insanity. It looks like you are losing it. The water is the marketplace. It is the chaotic, moving current of human commerce. You are afraid to let go of your money because you think if you let it go, it dies. So you hide it. You stuff it in a savings account that loses value every year because of inflation. You grip it so tight you strangle the life out of it. But Solomon is telling you the secret of the universe. The law of circulation demands flow. If you keep the seed in the barn, it rots. It is safe, but it is sterile. The verse promises that if you release it, you find it after many days. That is the hard part. The return is not instant. This is the law of delayed gratification. It takes time for the seed to crack open in the soil of the market. It takes courage to let your resources leave your hand. Most people are terrified of the unknown. The text admits that you do not know what evil shall be upon the earth. Markets crash, rents go up. Your boss fires you. The world is volatile. The average person reacts to this by freezing. They hoard their talent and their money. But the wisdom of Solomon and the analysis of Napoleon Hill say the opposite. Because the future is uncertain, you cannot afford to hide. You must circulate. You must put your value into the stream of life. This is the shift from a poverty consciousness which seeks safety to a wealth consciousness which seeks expansion. When Napoleon Hill sat down with Andrew Carnegie, he did not find a man who was gambling. He found a man who understood the physics of action. Carnegie did not use this Bible verse as a religious crutch, but his life was a perfect demonstration of the principle, cast thy bread. Carnegie understood that you cannot get a return on energy you never sent out. He exemplified the principle of organized planning. He knew that wealth does not come to the man who waits, it comes to the man who moves. Hill realized that successful men like Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison did not wait for perfect conditions. They forced the issue. To cast your bread means you take the initiative. It means you buy the equipment before you have the customer. It means you invest in the education before you have the job. It looks like risk to the outsider, but to the master of wealth, it is calculated leverage. Napoleon Hill often told the story of how opportunity wears a disguise. It usually looks like hard work or temporary defeat. When you cast your bread, when you put your capital at risk, you feel a moment of panic. You feel like you have lost control. But Hill teaches that you are actually taking command. You are telling the infinite intelligence that you trust your own future. You are backing your faith with a check. Carnegie was famous for putting all his eggs in one basket and watching that basket, which seems to contradict the next verse we will discuss. But the core principle here is the casting, the willingness to let the resource go. A ship is safe in the harbor, but that is not what ships are built for. Your money is safe under the mattress, but that is not what money is for. Money is a tool. If you do not use it, it rusts. Hill teaches that your subconscious mind needs a clear instruction. When you invest, when you start the venture, you are giving a screaming command to your subconscious. You are saying, I am a creator, I am a builder. Andrew Carnegie proved that the man who tries to save himself into wealth will fail. You have to invest your way there. The bread must leave to return as a harvest. This aligns with the teachings of Jesus, the Lord and Savior, who spoke of the servant who hid his talent in the ground and was cast out. The universe punishes stagnation. It rewards movement. You must be willing to look foolish to the world in order to be favored by the law. Now Solomon gets specific with the math. Verse 2 says, Give a portion to 7 and also to 8, for thou knowest not what evil shall be upon the earth. This is the ancient manual for what we now call asset allocation. It is the ultimate hedge against disaster. While a titan like Carnegie might have focused his power to build an industry, for the individual seeking to preserve and grow wealth, this verse is the law of survival. Napoleon Hill emphasized the mastermind principle, which is the diversification of brain power. You never rely on just your own mind. Solomon takes it a step further to the diversification of assets. Why 7? 7 is the number of completeness. To give a portion to 7 means you do not have a single point of failure. If you lose your job, that is one stream. If you have 6 others, you are not destitute, you are inconvenienced. This is the difference between fragility and resilience. Then he adds, and also to 8. This is the magic of the overflow. This is where you move from safety into abundance. This implies that you are always looking for the next place to plant a seed. You are never done. The reason hoarding is a sin metaphysically is because it blocks the flow. Money is currency, like a current. It has to move. When you give a portion to 7 distinct ventures or investments, you are keeping the energy alive in 7 different places. Think about the phrase, for thou knowest not what evil shall be upon the earth. This is not fear-mongering. It is a fact. Industries die, technologies change. If all your bread is in one company or one skill or one stock, you are gambling with your life. But if you have divided your portion, when one stream dries up, the others are still fed by the waters. This gives you a psychological edge that Hill called a positive mental attitude. It is hard to be positive when you are one paycheck away from ruin. It is easy to be positive when you have 7 pillars holding up your house. Hill taught that the fear of poverty paralyzes the imagination. By following this law of 7, you build a fortress that fear cannot breach. You are not praying for the storm to miss you. You are building a structure that the storm cannot topple. You are taking organized, intelligent action to ensure that no matter what happens in the economy, your internal economy is secure. This is the remedy to the anxiety that keeps you awake. You stop worrying about the one thing going wrong, and you start focusing on the 8 things going right. Look at verse 4 of Ecclesiastes chapter 11. It contains a warning that destroys the dreams of millions. It says, He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. This is the paralysis of analysis. This is you waiting for the perfect time to start. This is you watching the news and getting scared. Napoleon Hill identified procrastination as the primary cause of failure. He saw that successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly. Failures make decisions slowly and change them often. The person observing the wind is the one checking the stock market every hour. They are the ones reading every negative comment. They say, "I will invest when the election is over," or "I will start the business when interest rates go down." Solomon says if you watch the wind, you will never plant a single seed, and if you do not sow, it is physically impossible to reap. Earl Nightingale, who took Hill's work to the masses, said that most people tiptoe through life hoping to make it safely to death. They are watching the clouds. In the modern world, this is the person who understands the concept of compound interest but never opens the account. They understand passive income intellectually, but they never buy the first rental property or the first dividend stock because they are afraid of a correction. The wealthy mind, the mind attuned to infinite intelligence, acts in spite of the weather. They know that the seasons of the economy will always change, but the laws of the harvest are eternal. If you wait for the clouds to clear, you will wait until you are in the grave. You have to plant in the wind. You have to build in the storm. This is about your metaphysical return on investment. When you act despite the fear, you signal to the divine mind that you trust the spiritual law more than you trust the CNN headline. This act of courage attracts resources. Hill taught that every adversity carries the seed of an equivalent benefit. The one who ignores the clouds finds that benefit. The danger of looking at the clouds is that you do nothing. Inaction is the only fatal error. You can recover from a bad deal. You can learn from a lost investment, but you cannot recover from a life where you never tried. You cannot get time back. The wind will always blow. So, anyway, we have walked through the wisdom of Solomon and the strategy of Napoleon Hill. The secret is out. Wealth is not a lottery. It is a law. The metaphysical resolution is simple. You must stop being a spectator of your own life. You must move from the passive state of wishing to the active state of casting. You must stop obsessing over the wind and start planting the seeds. This is where you integrate the spiritual with the material. You are a spiritual being, but you live in an economic world. By applying the strategy of giving a portion to 7, you are managing your energy like a master. You are demonstrating trust in the universal substance that supplies every need. You are breaking the chains of fear that have kept you small and silent. Let us seal this understanding with a prayer for strategic wisdom. O divine mind, source of all supply and intelligence, I open my mind to your guidance. Give me the courage to cast my bread upon the waters, trusting that the law of circulation will not fail me. Grant me the discernment to divide my portion wisely, to give to 7 and also to 8, so that I stand firm when the world shakes. Take away the spirit of fear that makes me watch the wind and the clouds. Empower me to sow my seeds with aggression and confidence, knowing that the harvest is guaranteed by your law. I align my will with the abundance of the universe. I am a channel for prosperity. I act now. Amen. Now you are standing at the door of a new life. Do not let this moment pass. Join this community of manifestors. Subscribe to the Napoleon Hill Wealth Code channel right now. We do not just talk about success here, we decode the laws that make it happen. Click that button and turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson in abundance. Remember the words of Napoleon Hill. He said, "Do not wait. The time will never be just right. Start where you are and work with whatever tools you may have at your command. And better tools will be found as you go along. Go now, cast your bread, claim your harvest."